G'day and welcome back to part 2 of this Kingsley radiogram restoration. In part 1 we looked around the radiogram. I was then able to pull it apart, take the record player out and take out the radio part. The radio was in pretty good condition. It didn't need any work to get it going. I did, however, change some capacitors and resistors. I also restuffed the selenium rectifier with diodes. After that it was working perfectly. This week I'm going to have a look at the seized up record player and see if I can get that working again. I have the turntable inside now and I've mounted it on the old rotogram again. So I'll just have a quick look around the top and we'll see what we need to do. Now looking at the idler wheel here, it's really good. It's very good. There's no flat spots on it. It's quite supple. So that'll be okay. There's still grease that needs to be removed. That should spring back and it's slow. It's just got grease under it. I'll have to take the clips off here and get underneath, clean it, lube it, put it back together. Unfortunately the lettering's worn off here. It's got a slight indent in there. Look, you can really feel it. So I'm not sure what to do there. I may just leave it. Another thing is the tone arm and the record holder arm. I'm going to try and polish them, but I don't think they're going to come back. I might have to give them a spray. I've taken the platter bearing out and there's another little washer here. Under that is a rubber insulator and that's as hard as a rock. That actually looks like an O-ring, so maybe, I think that used to be a rubber washer. I'll have to do something there. That's to absorb the turntable rumble. Now underneath looks pretty good. It's still got a lot of grease I've got to try and get out. There's things that just don't work like they should, like that. It's just slow. So I need to take these off and clean underneath. Probably take this off, take this arm off here, clean the grease out that's underneath there. I can see it now, and replace all that under here perhaps. So basically just a clean up under here, I think. What I need to do is make sure this motor is working, and if it's not, it's free enough. Alright, we'll see if it works. I've connected it to the power. I put it on dim bulb just in case I got a short. I've put a little flag on here so we can see it spinning. So I'll put some power on. I don't think anything will happen. No. Now if I pull on this, that'll actuate the switch. Okay. Didn't do the flag any good. Yeah, it's working perfectly. Here's the motor, and look, there's a little felt bearing oiler there. I'll soak those in some light oil and that motor will run for another 10 years. So not too much to do. Clean it up, get some new oil and grease into it, oil and grease the motor, new rubber insulator for the turntable bearing. And that's about it. I think this will be an easy one. To start with, I'll put some oil on this pad here that supplies oil to the bearing. I'll let that soak for a while and see if it'll take any more later on. There's one up the top as well. I'll have to spin the deck upside down to do that one. And this one's a bit harder to get to, so I'm using a pipette or pipette or little plastic pipe. Alright, once again I'll let that soak. I still need to remove a lot of the grease. Look, there's tons under there. And it's just really thick. So it looks like to get this lever off, we just unclip this. And the other end's just, oh yeah, okay, just comes apart. Alright, so I need to clean all that off. Wow, that is just, it's hard. Wow. Alright, so I'll get something to clean that off. I have some wax and grease remover here. Oh look, it comes straight off. Oh, maybe not. It's getting it off. This is what you would use before you paint something to get any remaining wax and grease off it, but it's getting it off. Let's do the other end as well. That's the end of the spindle there, so just drop some oil in. You can't get that out. I'm not sure if that's a design feature or somebody's locked it in. So I'll just put a little bit of oil in there. This plate's got a fair bit of stuff happening underneath. A little apprehensive, but I'll take it off. Now it doesn't want to come out. I'll take this one out too. See if that'll let it come out. I can't get this off. This plate here is stopping it. This needs to line up with this hole so that that plate can go that way. I can take it off. It's stopping it because around here is this little rod here, and it's the lifter that lifts the tone arm when you want to lift it off the stop, or the record, I guess. Now it's frozen solid. I can't, just can't move it. I've been working on this for a few minutes. I can't move this pin. There it is there. We're looking at it from a different direction. The pin goes through this boss here, and that goes through into the tower that's going to lift the arm up eventually, the tone arm. The only thing I can really get some heat on is that, without destroying any of the, the finish on the tower part. And let's hope that'll let it come out, or let it move at least. So I'll heat that up. I can't leave the camera there, I don't think. Now I managed to move the camera so I can do both. There's the boss there I'm going to heat up, and there's the spring and the shaft. There it goes. There it goes. Right, so I should be able to move that around now. There we go. Well, there it is, and it's a little bit warm, not too bad. I think it's got a little sort of wire clip around there, and I can take that spring off and get something in there, some solvent, and try and loosen it, and then I should be able to take it out. Now I managed to get the spring off that, and I've soaked it in WD-40 from both sides, so I'm hoping, I think it's got to come out this way because the tone arm's in the way the other way, so if I can push on it, it might be able to move it. Oh dear, there it goes. It's hitting the tone arm. There's the tone arm screw. If I take that out, I should be able to remove the tone arm. Now I could try and push that pin through from the top down to the bottom, but I'll just take this off. It seems to have a pin in there or something. I'll see if I can push it out. I'm not sure how this works. Oh, God. No idea. I managed to push that pin out with a little drill there, and I think I can get it out. There it is. That's what I took out. This end with the double shoulder on it went into the little hole in the tone arm there, and then this end is held out in a hollowed out screw, which just sits in there. So there you go. Alright, there's the pin there. So, oh look, it just falls out now. Okay. There's the pin. That's the end that sticks up and pushes the tone arm. But again, it's just got this, it's almost a varnish. So it's really stuck there. Alright, I'll clean this up, and I'll be able to reassemble it with some good grease. Seeing I've gone so far down the rabbit hole, I'll take this lever off as well. I think it's a launch lever. I don't really know what it's called. It goes from stop to play manual. So I'll take that off. There we go. Right, so I'll just put a bit of grease around here. Beautiful. Goes in there. There we go. Perfect. I'll have a go at this one too. This is very slow. This is the one that pulls the idle wheel up on the top, pulls it in and operates the switch. Whoops, I broke it. I think it's glued itself in. Alright. It's got a bit of corrosion there. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's the pivot pin there, it's corroded. Alright, I'll clean that up and lubricate it, put it back together. Alright, so that should go under there, I think. Is that right? Yeah. That's it. I have a replacement E-clip here, I'll put that on. There we go. This is the speed change lever, and it's lethargic too, just slow to go back. I've taken the clip off and separated it. I'll clean all this up again, lubricate it, put it back together. I've cleaned all the other bits up and greased everything. I'm going to put this lift mechanism back in, and goes in there. Alright, now this thing goes here somewhere, like that. Plate goes on here. This had a graphite grease on it, so there we go. So hopefully that'll just go on this time. There we go. Alright, just a matter of putting these E-clips back on. Now this lever's got to go back on, so I'll put some grease here and in here. Alright, so it goes there and down here. It also seems to rub here. It doesn't seem right. There's no rub mark there, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll check the video later and make sure I've got this right. I didn't have to go back and look at the video. I had this upside down. It doesn't go that way, it goes the other way. I thought that pivoted on something, it just wasn't making sense. Alright, so that's got to go there. That's better. Now that goes over that lever there. And then on here, that looks better. Spring goes in like that, I think. Yeah, and that down there. That's better. Okay. Any fool could have made that mistake. I've just flipped this over to the top. First thing I'll do is get this old O-ring out of here. I've cut a new washer out of a rubber sheet that I've got out the back there, and that's supple, but it's soft enough to absorb some vibration but hard enough to hold the platter. Now that just has a washer on top. Here's the bearing ring, I guess you call it, I'm not sure. And I've packed that full of grease to keep the little bearings in plenty of oil supply. And then the top thrust washer goes on. I've put these on first because once you get the cam on there, you can't get these on or off. Alright, so I can put the cam back now. I need to grease it up in here, in the follower here, the track. So I'll just spread this around. I've also cleaned and lubricated this end of track kicker, or whatever they call it. So that's nice and loose. There's a little cam follower here. I'll put some drops of oil in there. And a bit of grease on the outside. It's going to run in that track anyway, so it won't matter. Not sure this should have grease or oil on this little pivot pin here. I'll put some grease on it. So I've just got to line this cam up with the hole there. I think it'll just fit on. There it goes. There we go. And that feels like some sort of neutral spot there. Just clip on the top there. Okay. I'll have a look at this idler wheel. The rubber on this is perfect. It's flexible, it's soft, it's great. So I will put a bit of rubber renew on it just to maybe bring it back a little bit. It's obviously gone hard on the edges there. I'll have to put a face mask on and breathing gear. I've got the windows open and a fan running, so this stuff's pretty deadly if you smell it. And I'll just put it on there, clean it up, I won't say anything. Now if I wasn't filming that, I would have used that rubber renew outside. It's pretty potent. I've thrown the Q-tip out. I'll just put a bit of oil on that shaft and I'll put the wheel back on. I've cleaned up the platter and it's come up nice. The rubber's in very good condition. What I did was soak a tissue in oil and I've stuffed it in between these bearings here to try and soak some oil into these oilite bearings. So it goes all the way through and I just soaked it in it. I'm not sure how effective that's going to be, but might get some oil back in it. There you go. When I pulled this apart, there was absolutely no grease on this gear, which surprised me. It didn't have grease underneath it either. I'm going to put some on. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. It seems odd to have a gear with absolutely no lubrication on it. I'll put the platter on. I'll put some power on, and it's probably halfway through a cycle, so we'll see what happens. So I'll just hold this arm up here. This will make it think it's got a record on it. I'll go to auto. Oh dear, our rubber renew hasn't worked. It thinks it's got a 7-inch record on. So end of record, drop that down. That was a bit slow, I think. End of record. And it's stopped. Now it's way off here. I've only got the pin very loosely in here, so that's got a bit of room, but it needs to come further over. So either I've put something in the wrong place or it needs to be adjusted. I put the pivot screw back in and it looks like it's come back to where it should be. So maybe it was just the fact the pivot screw was missing. I'll try it again. So I got power on, automatic. I'll lift that up. I might be too late. No, we're good. Okay, play, reject. Yeah, that looks better. Oh, I didn't put the record thing down the... There, drop that. I'm probably still too late. No, maybe not. Yeah, it's got it. So it's still going to miss, but at least it'll go over there if I need it to. So I don't need to worry about that. That's an adjustment problem. I'll take this platter off again. I'll just rough up the wheel a little bit with a bit of fine paper, sandpaper, and we'll put it back together again. I notice this thing's not sticking out. This is the rest that you put a record on it. The record will sit on there, and then the player will pull that in and drop the record when the sequence comes around. This thing has sat out here from day one, and it looked strange. I didn't think it was right. In fact, you would think the record would get stuck on there. This is the pivot here. This is the pivot for this thing, and I can't move this spindle at all. I can rock it a bit. It won't come out, won't go in. Something's wrong with it. This is the bottom of the spindle here, and there's a little pin supposed to sit in here and just get moved back and forward to release or lock the record in. I'll take this off. There's the pin in there, look, and it's supposed to come out here and be in this groove here. It's well, I don't know, half an inch away. As I said, I can't get it out, and I can't push it in. I'm just going to tap it a little bit on the top. It's moving a bit. I'm not going to hammer it in. I'll never get it out. That should just go in and out. I'll try and hammer it out from the bottom. I've got a miniature screwdriver here, and I think I can feel a ridge in there, which will be the bottom of the spindle. I'm just going to tap it. Ah, well, there it is there. It's got a flat on one side. And that's how it was. It just doesn't want to go in. Do you think it's out? Maybe it's... Oh, look at that. It's 180 degrees out. That's all it was. All right, let's put it together and see if it works. Okay, let's put this back on. And now that'll go in there. Look at that. Aha. Now the idler wheel, as I said, I've refinished the edges there. And I'll put the platter back on, and I wiped out the where the idler wheel runs. I wiped that out with oil and wax remover, so it should be oil free. And if you can see that, the little lever's out here now. So I should be put that on there. It's Whitney Houston, so if it gets destroyed, it wouldn't worry me. I've powered it up. Let's go to automatic. Drops. This will go across. Seems to be stopping a little further in than it should, but it's running. The wheel it slows down if you stop it. Come on. It just needs adjusting, but generally that's working all right. All right, I've got my little speed checker on here, and I know I'll get hammered in the comments. I just put it on 45. People say it weighs so much that it's not going to give a true reading, but it's not too bad. The phone's centered, so you know, you can get wow and flutter at least. And this will smooth out as it wears in too. It's got to push the grease away, and the little rubber wheel has to be worn in. And we're on 45. We've got 44.9. And it's got wow at 0.18%, so not too bad for an old turntable like this. I'll try it on 33 just for fun. Looks like we're going to come up just over 33. .44, wow is 0.19%, so really good. That's really good. I have a new stereo cartridge for this, but I've got to do something else first. What I'm going to do is paint these. So I'll remove both of these items here and just clean them up and paint them. I'll do that and I'll come back. All right, I've painted these and they've come up really nice, really nice. They look like new and very, very similar to the colour they were. I've mounted the new cartridge in the tone arm, so I'll weigh it. I set my scales there, I'll just turn them on. Now this weight should be 4 to 6 grams. Put the stylus on there. It's over 5 grams, so I'll have to take some weight off there. To adjust the weight, there's a spring there, a little counterbalance spring, and there's a little ratchety device here. So you just pull that up, and that should take some of the weight off. We'll weigh it this time. No, it's still too heavy. So I should be able to just push it with a screwdriver. Oops, ooh. Alright, I'll try that. Alright, gone way too far there. Little spring that's operating the ratchet, I'll just bring that back one and it'll come back. There you go. 2.7. I just reset the ratchet a couple of clicks. Alright, let's try that. 3.5. I'll go one more. Alright, I went back one more tooth. This will probably take it over. Oh no, 4.3. That's alright. We'll see if it works alright there. It doesn't skip, and leave it there. That's good. Now another test is the height. This arm lifts when it lifts off the stop there, and when it lifts off the record. So if I go to auto and I'll manually do this, around there. Okay. The point of the stylus should be 35.71 above the deck, so I need to adjust that. And there's a screw on the back here, and I had this screw out, so it's way out of whack, so I should be able to lower that. Alright, that's perfect. Alright, I'll let it run through the rest of its cycle. I'll turn the power on actually, save me winding it. Oops, it's at the wrong height. Oh, the wrong diameter record, I mean. Okay, that should pick up. I just watch where it drops, and there it is there. So it's missing that stop there. There's an adjusting screw in the back here, and I think if I turn that, oops, anti-clockwise, that should make a difference. So if I go back to auto and leave this arm down, it'll just cycle. Well, didn't make much difference, did it? There's the adjusting screw there. It's not even hitting that contact, so whatever. Yeah, it's just stiff. Alright. I'll have to pull something apart, I think. There's a big screw here, and that's holding that top plate. The second plate that's supposed to be moving is sandwiched underneath it. Yeah, that's loosened it up now. So let's see what happens. I'm a bit worried. I've got my hand underneath holding this all together. Okay. There's a washer there. Look, it's just covered in that grease again. Alright. Okay, I'll clean it all up and reassemble it. That turned into quite an episode. I had bits falling off underneath everywhere, so but I've put it all back together again. Now I'll adjust this. And now the adjustment's working, so that's good. So let's give it another try. Once again, it should just go up and down. Drop back on its stand. Oh, look at that. Oh, nice. It needs the smallest adjustment. It was just moving slightly to recenter itself. I'm getting pedantic though. Absolutely perfect. I was just going to do a full automatic test, and I had a thought I hadn't set up the landing point for the stylus, and I bet that's actually for the landing and not for where it comes back on the rest. I think that's for adjusting where it lands on the record. I've got a 7-inch record on there. I'll just do this manually to just see where it's going to drop so I don't damage it. Alright, it's not far out. Now I've just moved the camera a bit more, and it needs to go further over. I'm going the wrong way. Hang on. That's better. It's a bit too much. You don't need much of an adjustment to get this. Move it a little bit closer to that landing point. That looks about right, doesn't it? Let's try that. Alright, I'll put power on and reject it. That's alright. So I'll just reject that again and we'll see where it lands back here. It's not quite right. So I don't know how you adjust that. I'll look at that in a minute. Alright, let's do a full test, see how it goes. I've got my signal tracer on the back here and I've connected that to the stylus, so we'll see how that works, or the cartridge. So I'll go to auto. Nice. I'll just reject it. I'll see where this thing lands. Oh, it's not far off. It's just not going in. So I don't know if there's an adjustment for that. I've loaded a 12-inch record in there. We'll see what that does. It's going to work. Oh, that's nice. I have to keep moving this or I get copyright. I'll just go over and see if the end of track works. Beautiful. All right. Now it's just not quite getting on this stop. It's just, look, it's that far out. There may be something I can do at the bottom there to get that to work properly. I have to apologise for the fidelity of the signal tracer. It's a bit lacking there. Anyway, it works. I'll try a 10-inch record and that'll be it. All right, I've got a 10-inch in there. We'll see what that does. And if Google's going to pick that one up, you can hardly hear it. It's working all right. It goes. Well, the three sizes of record have worked fine, so it's working quite well. I'll have a look and see if I can find something to adjust or bend or something just to get that a bit more accurate. Apart from that, I think it's working pretty well. I studied the mechanism for quite a while, and this little plate here balks the tone arm moving back to the record if there is no record there. So I've just bent that just the smallest amount. I'll see if that makes any difference. So I'll just go to auto. We'll just see where it goes when it tries to go that way. Yeah, it's not going as far. Oh, that's perfect. Absolutely spot on. Fantastic. Now that won't affect the landing point of the record either, so that's all that does. Beautiful. I'm going to leave the record play at the moment. I think it's working pretty well. I will have a look at this plate here, see if I can fix it up, make it look a bit nicer. I'll do that after hours, like after dinner or something. I'll just sit down and play with that, and I might make up a label for it perhaps. But for now, it's off to the case. Not so fast there, though. I'm going to break the video here. In part 3 next week, we'll do the case and put it all back together. And I hope you can join me next week for part 3 of my Kingsley Radiogram radio adventure.